Now, Facebook's founder Mark Zuckerberg has announced changes to the way the social network deals with news sources. From next week, users will be asked whether they trust what they're reading and seeing, with sources ranked according to that feedback, and the less trusted being slowly removed from users' feeds. Well, I'm joined now by social media expert and CEO of Leaderboarded.com, Toby Beresford. Thank you very much for joining us, Toby. Whether users trust what they're seeing or not, is that really the best gauge as to whether information is true or false?
Yeah, Sam. So for Mark Zuckerberg and his team, they're playing this continual game of cat and mouse with the fake news publishers and, to a certain extent, the real news publishers. Everybody is trying to get their stories to the top of your news feed on Facebook, and they're trying every different method in the book in order to get there. Now, all that Facebook have really announced today is another way in which they're going to try and provide a signal to the robot that decides which story goes to the top of the news feed, and that signal is going to come from us as the users of Facebook, saying whether or not we trust the original source, whether we trust whether it's the blogger or the news outlet who's writing the articles. The question really is whether we're any good at determining that ourselves.
The whole principle seems curious to me, because they always say about Facebook, don't they, that people surround themselves in their echo chamber. They're reading what they want to read. It's very self-reinforcing in that way, and that those who feel that they've been inundated with information that they believe to be false or not interesting, many of them have stopped using Facebook. So it seems a curious tactic.
Yes, I think the best way to see it is as another tactic. It's another attempt by Facebook to try and improve the robot that chooses which stories come to the top. And I think therein really lies the problem. I think at some stage we have to say, right, is it really ever going to be possible to create an algorithm that gets the news right for 1.4 billion people who log on every day? And I think that's really where Facebook are really looking at quite a structural problem for their whole business, is where people are saying, well, actually, do you know what? Facebook can never really get the news right, and actually I need to be looking elsewhere to other sort of more human forms of media like the radio or TV news, where they may find that there's a human who's edited the stories and actually done some fact checking. So
it raises the question, doesn't it, though, that news organisations are bound by various rules in terms of what they can publish or broadcast. If Facebook is carrying news on its site and disseminating it, why not subject them to the similar sorts of rules?
Yeah, I think that's. While that's a nice thing we'd all like to be able to do, I think the idea of positioning Facebook and the other social networks like YouTube as publishers and having them by the same rules as the rest of the media, I just don't think that's going to wash. The reality is that these are different type of platform. They're utilities which allows anybody anywhere to post content, and there are hundreds of thousands of hours of content published to YouTube every minute. It's just simply impossible for any organization to check all that news, to verify it against those publisher themes. And so we have this situation today where organizations like Facebook, like YouTube are saying, well, look, it's not our content, we're not really responsible for it, and yet we as the consumers are still having to sort of then rely on the robot algorithm which is processing it, and inevitably that robot algorithm is never correct, never always correct.
Let's see how it goes, eh? All right, Toby Beresford, thank you very much for joining us.